As we approach this fateful night here on No Mercy, there's a little bit of preparation that you guys have to do on your end. And in researching this, I did not know this story, but I'm glad I came across it. Edge posted the following to Instagram on July 24th of this year when WWE was in Cleveland. And it was a picture of a hallway, and he said, I know what you're saying. Why did you post a picture of a hallway? This hallway was instrumental to Edge and Christian and the Hardy Boys taking flight. Some backstory, so bear with me. No Mercy 99, the Gund Arena in Cleveland. I was living in the Bahamas, don't ask, and got stuck in Miami the night before the pay per view because of a hurricane. I woke up and realized I needed to drive through the hurricane, get to Tampa, where I could make a flight to Cleveland that landed at 3 and got me to the arena at 4. Our match was at 7:30. When I got to the arena, I raced in a sweaty, stressed mess and found Jay, Matt, and Jeff huddled in the hallway. I joined, we put our demented minds together, and the tag team ladder match was born, which propelled us to where we all are now, still going strong 22 years later. After that match, we all came back to this hallway and had a beer, which is what you just referred to, which we all hate, but seemed fitting. So, yeah, this hallway is special to me, as silly as it sounds. I got to spend some time there again yesterday and reflect. If I didn't make that flight, who knows how different my career might have been. What a ride. And not just his career, but the career of 3 other individuals as well. What do you remember about Edge not being able to be there until right before the show? And did that play any part in you guys not being able to lay the match out as you intended?
So I know Adam had said, "Don't ask." He was in the Bahamas. I think someone had given Adam advice as far as move to the Bahamas. You might end up getting a tax break, but I think it ended up being more hassle than it was truly worth. Because I know there were times where he was traveling in to be events and he had travel issues. It seemed like it was always an issue. It ended up being a much bigger headache than it was worth. But on this particular day, we were going to be traveling to Stamford, Connecticut to go to the house, and we were going to go over this match. We were going to talk about different ways to utilize the ladder as a weapon, the structures we could build with the ladder, and just try and brainstorm and create ideas to do in different, new, innovative ways. So Adam happened to be caught in a hurricane, which was between the Bahamas and Florida at that time. And the hurricane was just ravaging that area, and his flight was totally canceled. So he did not make it to Stanford himself, my brother, and Christian. So we started looking at these ladders. Michael Hayes was working with us. It was something him and Vince felt really strongly on. They knew we were going to take some risk. We were going to do some challenging things. So they want us to try and go over it and try and brainstorm and be as well prepared for this match as we possibly could be. So we're in there, we're talking about different scenarios with the ladders. We're looking at different structures we can build, different creative ways to use it as a weapon. And Jeff and I had a lot of these in our back pocket because obviously, as I've said, we had done these things on independent matches. So whenever we were there, one of my favorite moments and memories were creating the configuration that would be known as the seesaw spot, which is obviously when you had a ladder sitting on its side and it was open, and then you took another ladder that was closed and you put it over the top of it, and the part of the ladder that was laying against the mat, you could actually hit the other one and it would fling the part laying on the mat up. And I remember Michael Hayes, and this is one of our funniest memories from that day. He said, "Hey, I got an idea. I mean, Jeff, you're such a crazy high flyer and stuff. Like, what if you were standing on one end of the ladder and then you had someone jump on the other one and slung you up and you could do like a big splash or maybe a swanton?" And we're like, "Oh my God, that sounds like a cartoon, Michael." I don't think that would be possible because the weight was so significant. I think if someone jumped on the end of the ladder, that part would fling up, but I don't think it would support Jeff Hardy's 225-pound body. So we ended up coming up with a scenario that we could have someone jump on one end of the ladder and it would fling up and it could hit someone. It could be used as a very creative form of a weapon. So what happened now, we did that Friday night where we came up with all these ideas. We did all this brainstorming, sans Edge, because he was stuck in the Bahamas. And then Saturday, myself, my brother, and Christian, we flew to Cleveland to the Gund Arena. And Saturday evening, Edge was able to get into Miami, but everything was shut down in Miami. So he's still in Miami and he's got to go to bed that night. And he's going to try and throw out a Hail Mary to get to the Gund Arena, Quicken Loans Arena now, to get there for the ladder match. So what he ends up doing, and you have to remember, this all happened to this dude on the day of the pay-per-view where he was going to go out and like bust his ass for, do all these crazy risk and chance for 17 minutes. And just imagine his state of mind and how exhausted he was. At 5 a.m., he gets up in my rental car, drives up Alligator Alley all the way to Tampa, catches the last flight he could catch to make it to Cleveland from Tampa, connects in Atlanta, and lands a little bit after 3 in Cleveland, Ohio. Jumps in a car, rental car, whatever, get the venue. He's there like at 4 o'clock. And then he walks back to this hallway that we sat in. And so famously, almost iconically, in, and that's where he joined. He had like all these great ideas and all these ways to use ladders as weapons. And we had the ideas of structures to build and ways to formulate the ladder as far as the psychology of this match and try and continue to escalate things. But then once Adam got there, the 4 of us sat down, and it was such an immediate energy in that space, in that room. And we always talked about it every time we'd go back, because that hallway, it was almost like a church. It felt sacred. And it was such a special, almost magical energy and creativity flowing. You could feel it flowing. You could literally feel it. And then we put together that match and we structured it. And then, we felt great. We felt great about everything we had together. We felt great about everything we were going to do. We were super confident that if we went out there, we were going to make magic and not just hit a home run, but a grand slam on that night.
You mentioned a really important word there, and that was psychology. And when I work on the indie scenes, I listen to fans, or I am obviously very active on wrestling Twitter, and I see people talking about psychology. And there's no psychology behind a ladder match. There's no, and it boggles my mind, because I think half the time, and I don't say this in an insulting way, I just genuinely mean it, I don't believe a lot of wrestling fans know what wrestling psychology is. It's a buzz term, right? But they don't necessarily know, what does wrestling psychology mean? So how do you incorporate quote unquote psychology into a ladder match like this?
I mean, once again, pro wrestling in itself is an art form. And whether people want to admit it or not, it's entertainment, and it's kind of catered more towards sports and entertainment as time has gone forward, especially the last few years. But like psychology is, and before the cat was out of the bag with kayfabe, psychology is basically suspension of disbelief. You go out and you have a wrestling match and you want to suck people into what you're doing. So using psychology is like trying to make the most sense possible. Everything's feasible, everything's logical of why all these crazy events are happening, especially in a fight that is choreographed. And a ladder match, it's even more intense because it's choreographed as well, but you are trying to suspend disbelief and bring everyone into the sense of like, this is real and I'm enjoying it.
Everything has to make sense connected to each other ultimately at the end of the day in a match like this. And that's a real big challenge once we break down the physics of a ladder match. So I think we've covered everything we can up to that point, and I think it's time to delve into what makes this match so special.